You're just a placeholder until the money clears, David. Be nice to her for 2 more weeks.
Once she signs the deed adding you to the title, we take out the home equity loan. You file for divorce, and we leave her with the debt. She's too stupid to read the fine print. That is what I heard my mother-in-law, Patricia, whisper to my husband, David, in the kitchen of my own house. I was standing just outside the swinging door, holding a tray of Earl Grey tea and the homemade scones Patricia claimed were her favorite. My hands didn't shake.
The china didn't rattle.
I stood there, frozen in a moment of absolute clarity, listening to the man I had loved for 10 years conspire with his mother to destroy me.
David laughed, a sound I used to find comforting, now sounding like a guillotine blade dropping. Don't worry, Mom, he said. Sarah trusts me blindly.
She thinks this loan is for our future. She has no idea she's funding her own eviction. My name is Sarah, and 2 months ago, my grandmother passed away and left me her estate, a sprawling, historic Victorian home in Charleston and a portfolio of stocks worth nearly $2 million.
For the last decade, David and I had lived a modest life. He worked in sales, I worked as a freelance graphic designer. We broke even, but we were happy. Or so I thought. The moment the will was read, David changed. He didn't become mean, he became too nice. He started talking about our legacy. He started bringing me flowers every day. And then, Patricia moved in to help with the grieving process. In reality, she moved in to coordinate the heist.
Their plan was simple. Convince me to put David's name on the deed of the house and the investment accounts for tax purposes, take out a massive loan against the property, drain the accounts, and then leave me with a gutted house and millions in debt.
I didn't walk into the kitchen and scream. I didn't throw the tea in David's face. I turned around, walked silently back to the guest bedroom, and poured the tea down the bathroom sink. Then I looked at myself in the mirror.
They thought I was stupid. They thought I was the passive, artistic wife who let David handle the finances because I found math boring.
They forgot one tiny detail. Before I was a graphic designer, I was a forensic auditor for a corporate law firm. I didn't quit because I couldn't handle the numbers. I quit because I wanted a quieter life. But the auditor inside me just woke up. And she was furious. I want to pause here. If you have ever been underestimated by people who thought they were smarter than you, hit that like button. Let's show them that kindness is not weakness. And if you want to see David and Patricia lose everything, type karma in the comments. The next morning, I initiated Operation Blind Trust. I played the role perfectly. I sat at the breakfast table, looking tired and grief-stricken. David, I said, holding his hand. You're right. I'm so overwhelmed with Grandma's estate. I don't want to deal with the taxes or the management. I think we should combine everything like you suggested.
Let's make an appointment with the lawyer to add you to the deed. David squeezed my hand, exchanging a quick, greedy glance with Patricia over his coffee cup.
That's a relief, honey, he said. I'll handle the burden. You just relax and paint. Patricia chimed in, you're making the right choice, Sarah. Marriage is about sharing burdens. Sharing burdens. The irony was almost suffocating. I set the appointment with their recommended lawyer for Friday. That gave me 4 days. I spent those 4 days doing a deep dive into David's finances. Something I hadn't done in years because I trusted him. What I found made me sick. David wasn't just greedy, he was desperate. He had a secret gambling addiction. He had racked up $200,000 in debt with online sportsbooks. He had taken out 3 credit cards in his name that were maxed out. And worst of all, I found a Zelle transfer history to a woman named Monica in Atlanta. Rent payments. He wasn't just planning to leave me. He was planning to move in with his mistress using my grandmother's money. Patricia knew about all of it. I found texts on his iPad where she advised him to get the money before Monica gets impatient. I had 2 choices.
I could divorce him now and fight a messy battle where he would try to claim half of my assets, since we were married when I inherited them.
Or I could set a trap so airtight that he would walk away with nothing but the shirt on his back. I chose the trap. I called my grandmother's old attorney, Mr. Sterling, a man who regarded me as his own granddaughter. I told him everything. He was silent for a moment, then he said, "Sarah, bring me the papers. We're going to teach them a lesson in contract law. The twist is coming up. David thinks he's signing a deed transfer. He has no idea what I actually put in that folder." If you're ready for the takedown, make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss the look on his face. Friday morning arrived. David put on his best suit. Patricia wore her pearls. They looked like they were going to a coronation. "Today is the first day of our new life," David whispered to me in the car, kissing my cheek. It took everything I had not to recoil. We arrived at the lawyer's office. David's lawyer, a sleazy man named Greg who I suspected was in on the gambling debts, had the papers ready. "Standard quitclaim deed," Greg said, sliding the documents across the table. "This transfers the property from Sarah Vance to Sarah and David Vance, joint tenants with rights of survivorship.
And here are the forms to add David to the brokerage accounts." David picked up the pen, his hand trembling slightly with excitement.
Patricia was practically vibrating in her chair. "Wait," I said softly. "I have one condition." David froze. "Condition?" "Honey, we talked about this." "I know," I said, putting on my most innocent voice. But Grandma was so superstitious.
She made me promise that if I ever shared the estate, I would protect it with a family preservation clause. It's just a formality.
Mr. Sterling drew it up. I pulled a thick document out of my bag. "If you sign this, I'll sign the deed." David glanced at Patricia. She shrugged. "Sign it, David. Whatever makes her happy. Let's just get the deed done." David didn't even read it. He was so focused on the millions waiting for him that he just flipped to the signature page and signed. Greg stamped it. Then, I signed the deed. David let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for weeks. "Done," he smiled. "Done," I echoed. That afternoon, David wasted no time. He called the bank to initiate a $500,000 home equity line of credit. He logged into the brokerage account to transfer cash. But when he hit submit on the transfer, an error message popped up, access denied. Account frozen by trustee. David frowned. "That's weird," he muttered. Then his phone rang. It was the bank loan officer. I put my book down and watched. "What do you mean I'm not the owner?" David shouted into the phone. "I have the deed right here. I just signed it." He listened for a moment, his face turning from red to paper white. He dropped the phone. He looked at me. Sarah. What did I sign? Quote, you signed the deed, I said calmly, taking a sip of my wine. But the document you signed before the deed? The family preservation clause. That was actually a transfer of all assets into an irrevocable trust. The trust owns the house. The trust owns the stocks.
And the trust has a very specific clause. Beneficiaries are disqualified immediately upon proof of adultery, gambling debt, or conspiracy to defraud the primary beneficiary. David stared at me.
What? I'm the trustee, David. And I disqualified you this morning.
I uploaded the evidence of your gambling debts and your payments to Monica in Atlanta to the trust administrator an hour ago.
You don't own the house. You don't own the money.
In fact, because you signed that document, you legally acknowledge that any attempt to access these funds while having undisclosed debt constitutes federal wire fraud. Patricia stood up, screaming.
You little witch. You tricked him. That's illegal. No, Patricia, I said, standing up and finally dropping the act. Tricking me into a marriage to fund his gambling addiction is illegal. Conspiring to steal an inheritance is fraud. What I did was asset protection. I picked up a folder from the coffee table. And by the way, this house belongs to the trust now. The trust doesn't allow guests who conspire against the beneficiary. You have 30 minutes to pack your bags and get out. It gets worse for David. The loan sharks he owed money to found out he wasn't getting the payout. Wait until you hear what happened next. David dropped to his knees. Sarah, please. You don't understand. I owe people money. Bad people. If I don't pay them $200,000 by Monday, they're going to hurt me. I did this for us. I wanted to clear the debt so we could be happy. You did this for Monica, I corrected. And you did it for yourself. I am not your ATM, David. I am your soon-to-be ex-wife. I handed him an envelope. These are the divorce papers. My lawyer filed them this morning. Since you signed the trust document admitting to the debt, you took full liability for it. The marital assets are protected. The debt is yours alone. Patricia tried to grab a vase off the mantel, an antique worth $5,000. I'm taking this, she shrieked. I'm taking everything. Go ahead, I said. The house has cameras in every room. I'll send the footage to the police and have you charged with theft. Is a vase worth jail time, Patricia? She froze, then smashed the vase on the floor. I hope you rot in this house alone, she spat. I won't be alone, I said. I'll be solvent. Which is more than I can say for you. They left. It was chaotic. David was crying. Patricia was screaming. And I just locked the door behind them and changed the alarm code. But the real justice came 2 weeks later. Since David couldn't pay the bookies, they liquidated his car and emptied his 401k. Monica in Atlanta found out the money train had derailed and blocked his number. He ended up moving into Patricia's one-bedroom apartment. I hear it's cozy. They spend their days blaming me for ruining their lives. I didn't keep the house. It had too many bad memories of their betrayal. I sold the Victorian mansion to a lovely family who wanted to raise their kids there. I put the money into a new account, one that no one knows about but me. I moved to a beach town, started my own design firm, and I finally stopped looking over my shoulder. My phone rang yesterday. It was David. He was calling from a blocked number. Sarah, he rasped. I'm broke. Mom kicked me out because I ate her food. I'm sleeping in my car. Please. Just $5,000. For old time's sake, I thought about the tea I poured down the sink. I thought about them laughing in the kitchen, calling me stupid. I'm sorry, David, I said. But my assets are tied up in the trust. And the trust has a strict policy. We don't negotiate with terrorists. I hung up. They thought they could prey on my grief. They thought my kindness was stupidity. They forgot that you never, ever try to rob the person who balances the books. I'm Sarah, and I'm debt-free, drama-free, and finally free of them.
If you loved seeing David and Patricia get shut down, leave a comment saying, "Checkmate," and share this video with anyone who needs a reminder to protect themselves.
You never know who is plotting in your own kitchen. Thanks for watching.